Hello everyone, it's NotaNoobPat, and welcome to Perk Review. Today we're taking a look at the level 40 Kate Denson perk, Boil Over. Boil Over increases your struggle effects on the killers by 75%, meaning that when you wiggle on the killer's shoulders, it should cause them to sway more than they normally would. Then, this perk also obscures hook auras within 14 meters of the killer when you are being carried. Generally, hook auras are shrouded in red. The pro is that this perk should cause killers to walk farther to hook you since they hopefully won't see the nearest hook, meaning this will give you more time to wiggle off. The cons are that the increased struggle effect is hardly noticeable in most cases. It's hard for it to make a large impact unless the situation is just right. I will talk about this more in our video examples section. Finally, I don't think this perk can stand alone. It has to be used as an accessory to a wiggle build, let's say with flip-flop and unbreakable for example. Or your teammates have to be sabotaging hooks or body blocking for you. Let's get into our video demonstration. Let's take a look at the killer's perspective when the survivor is using Boil Over. When you pick up the survivor, the killer will get a little Boil Over icon next to their perk window to let them know that the survivor is using this perk. I kind of don't like this though because it immediately tips off the killer that they won't be able to see hooks like normal. Speaking of which, here you can see how the red aura of the hook is going to be shrouded. You can see that the hook is right around the corner. I'm going to pick the survivor up with Boil Over, and you can see the red auras of all of the hooks outside of the range of this perk, but not the hook that is right around the corner. Now, I'm going to walk in and out of the 14 meter range of this perk. Obviously, if the killer picks you up within the 14 meter range of this perk, they would be less likely to know that the hook is right next to them. Then, I want to show you a survivor without Boil Over. This is what struggling typically looks like. It truly is a wiggle at most, and it almost has no impact on the killer. It's just a little sway back and forth. Now, let's take a look at a survivor with Boil Over. You can see that the struggle is much more pronounced now. The killer is swaying back and forth way more than normal, and that's the 75% struggle effect bonus from this perk. Then, I want to put the videos next to one another for a quick second so you can see them both at the same time. On the left, there's a normal wiggling survivor, and on the right, you have a survivor with Boil Over. Let's get into our video examples. Here, the hillbilly picks me up near a sabotaged hook. The killer probably sees that I have Boil Over and knows they're going to have to work extra hard to get me to a hook, and then they see my teammate running alongside us, so what do? They drop me and go to chase my teammate. Fortunately, I do have Unbreakable as I mentioned before, and I can pick myself up and run away. In this next example, I am using a wiggle build with flip-flop when the killer picks me up. The pyramid head almost makes it to the hook, but the struggle effect could have made a difference here as it looks like he got caught up on the doorway. The struggle impact works best when a killer is walking through a doorway, and thus indoor maps are a lot more compatible with this perk. Now, let's take a look at our best example of hook shrouding. I slow it down here so you can clearly see that the hook is right here and is going to be within 14 meters of where I go into the dying state. When the killer picks me up, he doesn't notice this hook and starts walking towards the hill hook, which is quite a distance away. The killer likely realized I was using this perk because of the mini perk icon that shows up right outside the perk window, and then he turns around and he finds the closest hook. However, this caused enough of a delay that I'm able to wiggle off the killer's shoulders and escape. Now that was a good example, but I want to bring this perk back down to earth with some of my examples that I got as killer facing survivors with Boil Over. I pick up this survivor, see the icon, and immediately know the hooks are going to be shrouded. However, I don't panic. I know that the hook locations are typically in the hallway of Hawkins, and look what I find. That could have been bad, but I knew the hooks were being shrouded from the perk icon, so I just kept my composure. Then, this survivor is going to go down right next to a hook. I don't need the hook aura to find it, and the increased struggle isn't going to make a difference when the hook is only 5 feet away. In this next example, I get a Kate with this perk. There's already a person hooked at the nearest hook, so I know all of the hooks around me are outside of the perk Shroud range. Then, look at how far I have to walk. The increased struggle effect should have helped, but I'm in an open area so there's nothing to bump into and I can easily get to the hook even with this perk. Then, I find this Kate messing with my totem. I quickly down her, and Boil Over will fail to make an impact again. The hook has to be right outside the range of this perk, and again, I'm in an open area, so the increased struggle has no impact on my ability to get to the hook. Realistically speaking, you're only going to get a benefit from the increased struggle effect or shrouded hooks maybe 1 in every 5 times you are picked up by the killer, and even then, it probably won't stop you from being hooked. Let's give this perk a grade. Boil Over is a 2 out of 10. It has 2 abilities that are decent in theory, but in practice, you still need a bit of luck for them to convert to wiggling off the killer's shoulders. For example, you can't die right next to a hook. You have to be facing a killer who is unfamiliar with where hooks normally spawn, and you can have a killer who's just going to drop you, and if you aren't using this perk in a build like I suggest, most likely with Unbreakable, you're not going to be able to do much if the killer just drops you. In the best case scenario, this perk is an accessory to a wiggle build with Unbreakable and Flip-Flop, and even then, it's only good for a few extra moments of hesitation because they won't be able to see the aura of the nearest hook. I will say that the ability to shroud the auras of hooks can be very helpful, but I hope I did show you that the impact of the 75% of increased wiggle is unlikely to do much. It only debatably helped me in the Pyramid Head example, and it had no impact on me when I was the killer. So overall, if you have a perk slot to burn in a build with Unbreakable and Flip-Flop, or you know you will have teammates who are body blocking or sabotaging, sure, this perk could hypothetically make a difference, but under any other circumstance, I really don't recommend using this perk. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave it a like. If you want to check out more perk review, make sure to look for the links in the description and visit my channel to subscribe. I also stream twice a week on Twitch if you want to stop by. Take it easy.